name is Patrick Cook. Thank you very much for joining me in the first session of Mastering Mandelbulb3D Formulas. What we want to do here in this tutorial series is talk about the formula functionality within the Mandelbulb3D fractal generator software. Now, I'll tell you what. Let me be very clear at the very beginning. We're gonna do a deep dive into the formula functionality of the Mandelbulb3D application, but we're not going to get into the math. There's 468 formulas that come along installed with the Mandelbulb3D application. There's just not enough time to be talking about the underlying math behind all of those formulas. And besides, the primary purpose of this tutorial series is to help you have an appreciation for the creative capabilities utilizing the formulas of the Mandelbulb3D application. So it's really a creativity endeavor that we're trying to build up and enhance with this tutorial series. Delving into the math, that might be interesting. There's not enough time to do all of that, and I'm not really sure whether or not it's going to be all that helpful anyway when it comes to the creative use of the Mandelbulb3D application. Now, with that said, the Mandelbulb3D application is a fractal generator that creates three-dimensional Mandelbrots. All right? So if you want to understand the math better, my recommendation is go up online and read up on the Mandelbrot. That's Mandel, B-R-O-T. Read up on the math and the history of the Mandelbrot, and I think you'll have a pretty good appreciation for what we're trying to do with the Mandelbulb3D application. Again, the Mandelbulb is a three-dimensional representation of the Mandelbrot fractal. So with that said, I want to make sure you understand that this tutorial series is all about the enhancing your creativity with the Mandelbulb3D software application. And I do not believe that delving into the math is going to be all that beneficial in terms of increasing your creativity. So with that in mind, all right, I think that pretty much kind of outlines what we're trying to do here. We're going to do a deep dive. We're going to go through all of the functionality pertaining to formulas. We're gonna talk about hybrid modes. We're going to talk about the formula slots. We'll talk about the formula categories. We'll talk about things like iterations and our bailout. I think we're going to have a good time with this series. Now, let me just kind of remind you that at some point, further down the line in session, 22, depending upon, how far we go, I'm going to kind of be relying upon the fact that you're already familiar with the terms and the terminology or a particular function pertaining to formulas that I had talked about in earlier sessions. So it might be a good idea if you follow this tutorial series from session number 1 and just kind of move through it in a sequential manner in terms of the session numbers. I think that would help you get the most out of it. We're going to try to shoot for maybe around 10 minutes per session. Could be a little less, could be a little bit more, depending upon the topic that we're involved with. But we're going to break this up and into maybe 10-minute or thereabouts sessions, and we're just going to keep going in terms of sessions until I feel that I've covered the topics pertaining to Mandelbulb formulas well enough to be able to enhance your creativity. Okay, so with that introduction behind us, let's dig in the second session of the Mastering Mandelbulb 3D Formulas, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I'll see you in session 2.